Hi, welcome to this bonus tutorial. First, let's create a torus. Set the major and minor segments to something small so that it will animate fast in the viewport. We can always add a subsurf modifier later. Adjust the minor radius to make it look like a donut shape. Go to the front view and rotate the torus by 90 degrees and move it inside the jet plume. Scale it down to make it fit inside the plume. Let's rename this the vortex ring. Next, isolate the vortex ring and set it to shaded smooth. Let's add an array modifier. Set the factor x to 0 and the factor z to negative 3.4. Set the count to 3. So what we need is to animate the array's factor z and we also need to animate the vortex rings on the x-axis. This is one way to do it, but we need the vortex rings to scale down every increment, so we need a different approach. To do this, let's add a new empty. This will control the array's distribution. Let's apply the scale and rotation for the vortex ring and the empty. Press Ctrl A to apply scale and rotation. Back in the array modifier, turn off relative offset and turn on object offset. In the object box, click the eyedropper and select the empty in the viewport. Scaling down the empty will in turn scale down the array elements with each increment. We could also scale the empty on the x-axis so that the vortex ring will grow bigger with every increment. All we need to do now is to animate the empty on its x-axis. But first, rename the empty to vortex ring helper. Select the vortex ring. Then in the timeline, move the playhead to frame 1. Go to the Object Property tab and set a keyframe on the x-axis. And also set a keyframe for the vortex ring helper on its x-axis. Select the vortex ring, then in the timeline, press Ctrl Tab to switch to graph editor, then select the keyframe. Add a noise modifier. Notice that the rings are not moving correctly. The movement is coming from the center instead of the left side. Later, we'll do something to correct this. For now, let's adjust the noise intensity. Let's copy this noise modifier by clicking on this button. Select the vortex ring helper click the keyframe and click the paste button. Set the offset on this noise modifier to 0.11. Select the vortex ring. In the Material tab, click on the Material list and select Jet Plume Inner Layer. Let's duplicate this material by clicking on the Add New Material and rename it to Jet Vortex Rings. We need a new gradient control for the Jet Vortex Rings material. Let's duplicate the inner layer G control. Rename it to Vortex Ring G control. Next, select the vortex ring, then in the shader editor, in the Jet Vortex Rings texture coordinate, set the object to Vortex Ring G control. Now let's isolate the vortex rings. Now let's check the Jet Vortex Rings animation. Notice that it's moving in the wrong direction. Instead of having it move in the y-axis, we need it to move in the x-axis. In the timeline, with the vortex ring still selected, turn off the X location first so that we don't accidentally select it. Select the Y default keyframes and press Ctrl C to copy them. Head over to the shader editor, right click the location X and select Insert Single Keyframe. Then in the timeline, switch to graph editor. Switch off the Y default value. For this part, you may want to pause the video from time to time as it may get confusing. Now the Jet Vortex animation is moving in the right direction. You can adjust the opacity of the vortex rings by scaling the vortex ring G control. Moving the vortex ring G control from left to right will also affect the opacity. A few more adjustments. Let's also adjust the scale X to stretch this vortex noise. Now, as I mentioned earlier, let's correct the movement of the vortex ring so that it will be moving on the left side. Let's add a new empty and rename it to Vortex Ring Locator. Next, select the vortex ring and the vortex ring G control and make them a child of the vortex ring locator. Okay, this concludes the bonus tutorial. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerted on new contents in the future.